Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and each week I'm joined by a panel of guests to discuss all things fandom and pop culture, primarily from a female perspective. You'll find everything from fanfic, to cosplay, to Schitt's Creek, to Supernatural, and everything in between. So put on your favorite piece of fandom merch, set aside that fanfic that you're writing about your OTP, and sit back and enjoy this week's episode. Hello and happy Halloween. This is your host, Erin Marlowe, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. And we are talking about my favorite horror movie, Halloween, 1978, John Carpenter's Halloween. And I'm very excited to talk about this one. A few years back, we did do an episode covering the franchise as a whole, but I figured since the last Friday of the month of October fell on Halloween, that it would be a nice idea to just celebrate it. And we also happen to be recording this on the 46th anniversary of the release of this movie. So I did not even plan that. Or was it 46 or 47? Can I do math? Because it was released in 1978 on October 25th. So come on, my Carmi is not working. My Carmi's working, I mean. That's actually what's happening. Yeah, 46. It was 46 or 47. One of those. It's old. This is an old movie.
Wait a second. Hang on. I can actually do this one. 47, for sure.
Okay.
For 47? reasons, I know things from 1978.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. It's just a year.
I wonder what that is. But I'm excited to talk about this with my lovely, let me switch them around so I don't mess up here, with my lovely panelists. So first up from OK Real Quick, Carla. Hello, Carla.
Hello, Erin, and people listening to Erin and us.
And from Big Reputations Pod, Kim. Hello, Kim.
Hi, everybody. Happy Halloween.
And last but certainly not least, and I wish you could see her, but go watch our final horror trivia night from last week. And it told me that she will have this on there at some point because I want everybody to see this because she's wearing a candy corn little hat and she looks like candy corn and it's so adorable. So Tiff, hello, Tiff.
Hi. Hey, hello.
Candy.
Thank you all for joining me to talk about my favorite horror movie. I wrote a paper about this movie for school. You did?
Me too. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it.
I can't find mine either. Mine was on the hero's journey told through Laurie. I remember I was so excited when I wrote that paper and I wish I could find it, but yeah.
Mine was on monsters. So it was a monster movies class. I did like all about Michael and I got a B+ and I was so proud. And I can't find it to save my life.
Oh, I would love to read that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was inspired by Carla. I want to do a PowerPoint all about Halloween and Michael Myers and the different, because it is a choose your own adventure. There are 5 different timelines that you can follow. And I'm not going to tell you which one's my favorite because Jen, my podcast brain twin, and I are rewatching all of these for Twin It to Win It. And I don't want her to know which one is my favorite timeline. So we just watched one of my least favorite ones in the franchise, Halloween 5. I'm not a big fan. It's so much wasted potential. Anyway, we're not talking about that one. We are talking about Halloween from 1978, John Carpenter's classic movie that was made for $300,000. And you want to know how much this movie grossed? This movie grossed over and it was shot over 20 days. The film went on to gross $47 million at the U.S. box office.
Wow.
Yeah.
1978 at today is like $52 billion.
Yeah. Yeah, because in 2008, the takings would have been the equivalent of $150 million. And so it made Halloween as one of the most successful independent films of all time. That's what I don't think a lot of people realize. This is an independent film. This is an indie. So they were doing a lot of things. Like also, if you don't know, Robert Englund, because they weren't shooting like in fall and they were shooting in LA. So they weren't shooting in like Illinois. And Robert Englund helped like he threw a lot of leaves and had the leaves fly around. Robert Englund was doing that. So there's your tie-in with Nightmare on Elm Street. So yeah, this was a total indie film. John Carpenter is kind of a renegade filmmaker in a lot of ways anyway. So, he's very much a I don't give a fuck kind of filmmaker, which is one of the reasons why I love him so much. But I'm going to give you the IMDb description. We are spoiling this 47-year-old movie. You've had a lot of time to watch this. So from IMDb, 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night 1963, Michael Myers escapes from a mental hospital and returns to the small town of Haddonfield, Illinois, to kill again. And it stars Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis, introducing Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie.
What's she been up to?
Nancy Keys as Annie, PJ Souls as Linda, Charles Cyphris as Brackett, Kylie Richards as Lindsay, and if you don't know, a little trivia, Kylie Richards returns in Halloween Kills, playing a grown-up Lindsay. Brian Andrews, who plays Tommy, but anyone remember who plays Tommy, the grown-up Tommy in Halloween Kills?
No.
Anyone remember? Anthony Michael Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
John Michael Graham as Bob, who is a little perverted, gross guy. He's so gross.
So gross, man.
The stuff he says about Lindsay is so gross. So gross and so perverted. Nancy Stevens as Marion, who returns also in Halloween Kills. Yeah, so we are going to... Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention Nick Castle. Shame on me. Nick Castle as the Shape, because Michael Myers is actually referred to as the Shape, if you don't know that. And Nick Castle got a cat once and named it Michael Meowers, or I can't remember the whole thing. I think it's Meowerton or now I can't remember it. So
In any iteration, that's adorable.
yeah.
Yes. Oh.
And he has one of the original masks. He still has it. And yeah. And Tony Moran also played Michael Myers too. So trigger warnings. Dog is dead. There's 2 dogs that die. Just so you know, that German Shepherd was not hurt. To achieve the shot of Michael Myers strangling the dog, the trainer on set held the dog in his arms and dropped him naturally. This was shot in slow motion to make it look as if the dog had been killed. So just so everybody out there knows, there is, of course, killing in this. Stalking is a big, big one. They smoke pot.
Not the devil's lettuce.
The Mary Jane?
Drinking. Premarital sex.
Oh my goodness, I can never watch this film again. So many sins.
Yep, sin after sin. So, Carla, what I first want to know is on a scale of 1 to 5 butcher knives, how many butcher knives do you give Halloween?
All of them. And you know why? Because this film is the blueprint. This film is absolutely the blueprint for 80s horror in general. You can't have so many of the horror movies that we have, even if they're not slashers, just, tone and the music and the moodiness and all of that stuff. You don't get that without having Halloween first. So absolutely 5 out of 5.
Yay! There's always a nervous part of me when I talk about this movie with anyone because it means so much to me that, I understand if people don't like it, I guess, but there's always that nervousness there. And I forgot to mention, and really, shame on me, this was directed by John Carpenter. I already mentioned him, but directed by John Carpenter. And then it's always important to note, this was written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. It was co-written by a woman. And if you didn't know that all the dialogue for Dr. Loomis was written by John Carpenter, who wrote the female dialogue in this movie? Deborah Hill.
That is awesome.
That tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks, absolutely.
I just love that little trivia because it's almost like, okay, we're going to be conscious about this in 1978 and be
And then forget a lot about it for 20 years.
Yeah. So, Kim,
I also gave it All the Knives. My mom's love language is film, and that's transferred onto me. So I saw this movie at a dangerously young age. We used to do Halloween weekend. We would watch like all of them. And then we went to the theaters to see like Halloween H2O together. So I've been comparing every villain to Michael Myers from the beginning because he's like my first big villain. So it's like, is it better than Michael? No, it's not worth seeing. Okay. So this movie, again, is like very near and dear to my heart as well. So All the Knives.
Yay! So, Tiff, are you about to break this streak here?
I'm not. My 5 knives are out. I've got miniature butcher knives on all of my fingers, 5 of them, not only because of what, my illustrious panelists also said as well. Very well said, Carla. Very well said, Kim. But as notable for the fact that this was an indie shot in 20 days, shot for the amount of money that that they didn't have to do this. John Carpenter also did the score, and he gave us and that is, if anybody doesn't know, 5/4 time, which is not something that you normally hear, which is why it is so incredibly off-putting when you hear it. It fills you with the sense of dread because it's not something that you should normally hear in musical scores on screen. It's not something that was ever done before. So John managed to not only give us the heebie-jeebies on camera, he gave us the auditory heebie-jeebies as well. So thanks for that, John. You're a real one.
And thank you, Tiff, because shame on me for not mentioning that because, and John Carpenter does that for his movies, and his son also helps score now too. So for the David Gordon Green ones, his son helped, they revisited that score and kind of changed it up a little bit together. And John Carpenter is he always releases LPs of the music that he's done and everything too. So if you don't know that, he does that a lot. And I believe he's doing a tour almost right now too. So he's amazing. And he's still, I'm not encouraging smoking, everybody, but he still smokes like he doesn't give a fuck what you think about what he does. I just love this man so much because he just does not give a shit. And he was screwed over so royally from this film later on, but from the beloved, lovely Weinsteins later on down the road, really screwed him over big time. So we love you though, John. And we love you, Deborah Hill, the late Dread Deborah Hill as well. So, I give it 5. I mean, it's my favorite horror movie. What else am I going to give it?
We all got 5 on it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I grew to appreciate this film more when I became an adult. When I was a younger kid, Nightmare on Elm Street was my franchise. And then when I became older, it became Halloween. And I watch the original every Halloween. I try to watch all of them leading up to it too. Sometimes I will skip certain ones because certain ones are just so bad. And I don't like the Rob Zombie movies, so I don't watch those. But I love this movie so much because it is the gold standard in a way, and it really did and they weren't setting out to do that. That's the thing, is they weren't setting out to set these rules for slashers. They weren't even setting out to do any kind of morality thing or anything like that. They were just setting out to make a fun horror movie that happened to change so much in the horror genre. And I also, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, I also love the fact that, and people forget this movie is really not that violent. There's really only, you really only see 4 deaths on screen, and that's including the first one. And there's only 5 people total that you see Michael killed. I mean, because you don't see him kill the mechanic. So it's actually really not that violent, and it's not even that bloody when the deaths occur. But I think because of the music, which does enhance everything and makes it scarier, I think you're lulled into thinking that this is a lot more of a visceral, violent film than it really is. So it just goes to show it's really great filmmaking. So yeah, I love it. And I love the fact that it was such an independent film. That to me makes it even more special, that it was so independent and it went on to gross as much as it did is incredible. I don't know if you could see that happen today as much, but it's just, I love that story. Okay, so we're going to first talk about Laurie and Michael. And sorry, the outline was structured a little bit weird. I meant to indent those two. So let's first talk about Laurie, who is a final girl, who is known as one of the very first final girls. Really, she's not the first final girl, but in the realm of like slashers, people always automatically think of her as the first one. And she also invented, became a scream queen. Jamie Lee Curtis became known as a scream queen when she was younger. If you don't know, her father is Tony Curtis and her mom is Janet Leigh. And Janet Leigh, of course, famously was in Psycho and was in the shower scene. Janet Leigh is also, if you don't know, has a guest appearance. That sounds like she's a TV show. But she is in a cameo in H2O, if you don't know that. And H2O, Kim, was also the very first Halloween movie I saw in the theaters, was H2O.
I think mine too, probably.
Yeah. With Josh Hartnett and his lovely Josh Hartnett 90s hair.
I was about to say his hair, that looks like he cut it. It looks like Freddy Krueger cut it. It's horrible hair.
I love
horrible
it.
hair.
It really is that
I
bad.
love it, though.
We have talked about Josh Hartnett's hair before. It just has a mind of its own. Like
It does. It does.
It really does.
Yeah.
It defies the Hollywood standard and gravity and hair gel.
And any product.
Yes, someday we will talk about Josh Hartnett, like the 90s horror movies. Because at the same time that he was filming H2O, he was also filming The Faculty at the very same time.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
Faculty, sign me up for that one. I love The Faculty.
I love that movie. Yay, more love for that movie. Okay, so Carla, how does Laurie stand up as a final girl for you?
I love her. I think that, certainly there have been final girls who have more to do than run off. But at the same time, I feel like Laurie had a lot of agency. I think that she got to do a lot of, she felt like a real person, for one thing. So you got invested in her survival. And I think it's very believable. First of all, it's you're rooting for her and seeing her fight Michael so hard. And yeah, Loomis comes in at the end, but at the same time, I feel like she could have taken care of him by herself, even if Loomis hadn't shown up. But, she fought so hard and she was protecting those kids and she was doing the great screaming that she did. But still, she was an interesting character. And I think that part of the reason that she's such a beloved final girl is the performance. And it is the fact that, you leave the movie just so glad that she made it out of there. And also, she's clearly the focus. There are a lot of horny teenagers in this movie. And it's interesting that, she's the only one who doesn't really get laid in this movie. But, and we've talked about before how in slashers, it's like the more pure virginal ones are the ones who don't get killed. But that's neither here nor there for this conversation. Just she was great and I really liked her and I'm glad that she survived.
Yeah. She didn't get it laid. She's said, Jamie Lee Curtis said, she actually personality wise would have fit better with like one of the other roles, especially I think Linda was more of the or Annie with the more of the sarcastic kind of thing. So yeah. And what's interesting is she looks older than most of them, but she was younger than all of them.
That is so funny.
Amazing.
Because PJ Souls back then was just like, the perpetual teenager. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was watching it today, as a matter of fact, and I'm like, wow, Jamie Lee Curtis definitely did not look like a teenager in this film. Absolutely not. Oh, but one thing that I did want to say is that, watching her in this and then, thinking about watching her in The Bear and just so many of the roles that she's had more recently, just wow. The longevity of her career and how her acting style has evolved. It's a trip.
Yeah. Agree. Totally.
Totally. It's so rad.
Totally. So, Kim, your thoughts on Laurie?
I agree with Carla a lot. Laurie's like super relatable. It's like if she's not you, she's someone that you know. And like it's good. You feel good rooting for her because she's like really down to earth and she's kind and like she takes really good care of those kids. And her friends are, sex addicted little freaks. And she doesn't judge them for it. Like these are those, so like if you look at it from like the horror movie rules standpoint, right? Like Laurie is like playing the game correctly and her friends are playing it all wrong. Like they're smoking, they're drinking, they're having sex, but like Laurie's not like a stuck-up prude who's like judging them. She's just like, these are my friends and I care about what happens to them. Like she's just like a really good person. And Jamie Lee Curtis does such a fantastic job. And I did think while I was watching, I was like, she does look older, but towards the end where she's been attacked by Michael Myers and she's just like crying, you can see like the youth on her face. Like and I don't know if that's just the lighting or the acting, that it's just like, oh, like this person's been like broken down to this point and like she is just a teenage girl like trying to survive this night. So I think she's a fantastic final girl. And I don't think if it were anyone else cast in this role, we would even be talking about this movie right now.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Yeah. And she thought she was going to get fired after the first day. She thought she was so bad.
Funny.
Yeah, and John Carpenter called her up and she's like, that's it, I'm getting fired. And he's like, I just want to tell you I love what you're doing.
Wow. Amazing.
That's pretty awesome. Like, okay, she may not like the term Nepo baby, but she's like one of the Nepo babies that I think is justified in having a career.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fact that she felt like, honestly, okay, if you're a performer out there, if you're an actor, whatever, and you're feeling insecure about yourself, just think about the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis didn't think she was good enough at the start of her career and maybe feel better about your performance.
Exactly. So, Tiff, your thoughts on Laurie?
So, yeah, thank you, Kim, for mentioning how the rules apply in this. And, like John Carpenter didn't set out to say, okay, this is the lane that you have to stay in order to survive in a horror film. But gosh darn it, they're there and they work and Laurie knows how to work it. She knows how to do it. But I do feel like, I know they say it like in a sarcastic kind of way about her being a Girl Scout in this movie, but you know what? She was always prepared. Okay. Hello. That girl knew what she was doing. And I think the biggest key for me is how she treated the kids, how she was so protective of them when she finds out this, psychopathic, lunatic is on the loose, and he's coming for her. And her first thought is, where do I put them? Like, did you notice she doesn't run into the room with them or put them in the closet with her.
Yeah.
She secures them in one area and then does some misdirection and goes in a different area to try to throw him off. And I'm like, the maturity, okay? Just the ultimate maturity. She's somebody that I would definitely want watching my kid, because I know she's going to take the utmost care and protection of them. She does. You know what? It's funny because I was trying to do the math. I was trying to figure out, okay, I think Jamie Lee she's in her mid to late 60s right now. Mm-hmm. So she was about 19?
She was 19. Yeah.
She was 19. So I was watching it with Dear Daughter, and I have to tell you about some of her reactions to this because it was hilarious watching it with her. And Dear Daughter was like, she looks kind of old. And I was like, it's 1970s. 18. I was like, you gotta ignore it. I was like, you have to remember, people in the 60s when they were 20, they look like they were 40. And it's the evolution of things, it's just the evolution of things.
Just look at the Golden Girls, like
in
the 80s.
Yeah.
Hello. They were what? They were about probably 10 years older than us. Around
They were like my age.
So,
no, not quite, but like,
no, they were
enough.
They were like, they were about 10 years older than us, but they looked like they were 25 or 30 years older than us.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I get it. That's the way she was going to look. I think in terms, she's not a prude toward her friends. She's smoking a little of the devil's lettuce, and I mean, hey, she's like, is she smoking it or is she just coughing it out? The girl was having a hard time with it. She was having a rough time. So
she was struggling.
Yeah, she was on the struggle bus. She was definitely on the struggle bus. So I just feel like as a final girl, she may not be the first, but she is like the blueprint for it. She is who people are going to emulate further down the line about how to play the rules, about how to play the game, and maybe kind of cheat a little bit because, she did take a little puff, puff, pass, pass, cough, cough, but it's okay. Besides that, she was, making popcorn and very wholesome activities with the children. So,
She
but I
brought
love
a pumpkin so they could make a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
exactly. So no, she's a great example of a final girl, and I think it stands like today. Yes, she would be a little bit more. She'd have a cell phone, so will be different. It's different. Generational differences, right? It's generational differences. She can't walk out with a phone and even have a cordless phone back then.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it would be different in terms of like the equipment that she would have at her use. And she would definitely know double tap, tap, double stab, stab, stab in the head and not just stab and let it go and scoot back. She would know better. But it's learning. It's learning. It's all, it's informational. It's information gathering.
Yeah.
I can see her mind just clearly working through things. So love her. I love Jamie Lee. She is a Nepo baby, but that's okay. Like look, your mom is Janet Leigh. Your dad is Tony. You better be a Nepo baby. Okay.
That's true.
That's
true.
Nepo baby.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, this is my favorite final girl, and I love so many of the final girls. And I do want to say, even though she does fall into those rules of what a final girl is going to be, and the fact that she doesn't have sex and everything like that, but there's a part of her that really wants that, the whole Ben Tramer thing, and her being giddy like a teenage girl, and her really wanting that. And I think she's really envious of her friends. But she also really actually loves these kids. She really loves these kids. And she is not looking at being a babysitter the same way that like Annie is. Like when Annie and the way Annie talks to Lindsay is so different than the way Laurie talks to Tommy and to Lindsay. And it's like this totally different mindset that even though she really wants to kind of be as free as her friends and she wants to have fun at the same time, she's fine being this babysitter. And even when she's having the conversation with Tommy and he's showing her the comic books that he keeps hidden under the couch, and she's like, yeah, I know why they don't want you reading these and stuff. And she is really good with the children. And you're right, sending the kids into one room and locking it and making sure they're secure and safe, while that could have like put her in such danger doing that, taking the time to do that. But she knew it would be better because I think she already kind of could see that he was going to go after her first before he would go after the kids anyway. And because she had been seeing him like all day, she had been seeing the car that he was driving. She'd seen him behind the bush. She'd seen him when she was in school, all of that. So, seen him, of course, laundry. And so she was already aware of him. And so she kind of knew that he would be targeting her before the kids. And it's really interesting to watch this character through the years in the Halloween series. And we won't get into that, but it's interesting to watch her trajectory, like in H2O versus also in David Gordon Green's movies, and see what becomes of her and see that reaction to the trauma that she goes through in this and how it changes her as a person. So those are interesting things to examine. And we did that a little bit in our Halloween episode, but we'll do that sometime, I'm sure, because of course we'll cover this more when I want to. But yeah, I love her. I really love her. And I think Jamie Lee Curtis does a really good job. And she has, even though she looks older, she has those moments of being like a teenage girl, like that whole moment when she finds out that Annie called Ben and all that stuff, and her whole little, like, she's like a little girl, a little giddy teenager, and she does that so well. And the way she's like playing with her hair and all of that little stuff. And she's also is smart. I mean, yes, there are those moments where you're like, don't sit on the couch, get up. But she is smart that she instantly goes for the neck. she's smart. The whole closet thing and opening the door to the porch or to the balcony, excuse me, is really smart as well. So she does some smart things, especially for that age. I think it's harder for that age to really know exactly what to do. So yeah, I really, really love her. And it also, her running and screaming help and nobody helping her, and her going to those neighbors and like banging on the door and them shutting the blinds. That's so true of what happens. So it's like,
I don't want to hear anything from these boomers about back in my day, neighbors helped each other. People cared about each other. No, you didn't.
Exactly.
Poor Laurie Strode was begging for help, and she was left out on the cold. And nobody talks about it, which means to me that nobody thought that it was weird. So just throwing that out there.
I feel like the suburbs, people mind their business. They're like, no thanks, that's not my problem.
Exactly. Like, oh no, babe, good luck.
Yeah, they'll tell you your grass is too high, but they're not going to help save your life.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but dear daughter made a note of that too. She was like, why is nobody? She's like, oh my gosh, they just turned off the lights on her. And I said, yeah. I was like, well, why do you think that they did that? She's, just kind of the wheels are and the cogs are turning and everything. She's like, well, it is Halloween though. She said, so people are thinking that it's a prank. It's a joke. And I said, that's a pretty good observation.
It's a good observation. She's also a lot more generous than I am.
Yeah.
Because people suck.
Yeah. In my mind, I'm like, you people are just evil.
Well, and that's why they say if you're getting attacked to yell fire and never yell anything else, because and there was a really famous case in the 70s of a woman who got butchered, murdered in this apartment complex, and all these people heard stuff going on, and they and they didn't do anything, and they heard it. So it's a real thing. People really do. They don't want to get involved because they're afraid to get hurt, and so it is a very true thing. So yeah, when you say that nobody would have done that back then, well, yes, they would have. This movie is not a period piece. It takes place right when it was filmed. So yeah. Let's move on to Michael Myers. There you are, Michael. The Shape. So Carla, what are your thoughts on Mikey?
Mikey. On your boy Mike.
My boy Mike.
He's such an interesting character because, for one thing, it's impressive as hell that this person who has been institutionalized since he was a child is a natural at driving. Just absolutely, doesn't hit the gas too hard, doesn't suddenly brake, doesn't hit anything, just gets right in there, just immediately, boom, just out the gate, never to be seen again. Just amazing, amazing technique.
Looks both ways before he turns.
Yes. Which is, how many people out there do, if you're driving, you're like, bro, you don't even look where you're going. And he did. Michael paid attention to the road. Just absolutely amazing, amazing driving skills. Also, it blows my mind that he was able to go unperceived by so many people because every time he shows up on screen, there's just loud music playing. And I think when you're making that much noise, you got to draw some attention, but he doesn't. It's just because he is otherworldly. But, beyond those amazing characteristics, it's a very interesting idea for a character because they start him off young, and they give you zero context. There's no backstory for how and why. There's nothing pointing you to oh, he had this trauma. It's nothing. Just he is 5 or 6 years old and immediately kills his sister. And it's terrifying. It's terrifying. And I've said it before. When you have a child and that is the villain, that is terrifying because when it's, somebody who starts out in their 20s or whatever, there are signs along the way. There's maybe something you can do, hopefully. And there are, things that you can maybe point to in their childhood. But this is the childhood, and this is where he starts. And just completely unprovoked because it's not like his sister was awful to him, she's just living her life and he just does this. So it's such an interesting idea for a character. And it makes me wonder, how did this idea come about? Like, what made them think of this? Not even just to have started him out in 1978. They started him out much earlier when he's a small child. And, you know, because they could have done it the other way. They could have just started when he was an adult and gone from there, but they didn't. I'm interested in the psychology behind the creation of Michael. And then you have, you know, the otherworldly aspects of him are not glaringly obvious. They're not like super in your face. You have the acrobatic thing of him jumping onto the car, because it's just so like, wow, how does that happen? You have him getting stabbed and shot at, and still, where'd he go? You know, all of these like things, but they don't dwell on it. And that's one of the things that I love so much about this movie, is that they don't, you know, they don't sit there and try to unpack it. They don't try to figure out, oh, it's the pixie dust. You know, it's like, oh, he ingested the magical floating mushroom, or, oh, he's covered in like invisible Kevlar. It's so cool. No, it's just, here's a guy hunting somebody down. You don't know why. You have no idea why he's fixated on Laurie. You have no idea why he decided to go after her friends. You know, there is just no real reason behind anything that he does. And that is unbelievably terrifying. And that is part of why he's so effective and part of why he's so iconic. Because I think that the more that you try to explain motivations behind something like this, the less, not that they're less interesting, because you can do it in interesting ways, but just it's too much transparency sometimes. I think that there is something to be said for like a mystique around a character. And I think that they did it really well with Michael. And just having him he's not bleeding from anywhere. He's not, you know, he doesn't have like hands that are things that are not hands. You know, he's just a guy in like a janitorial suit and a mask. And that's it. That is the whole gig. No tiene mucho chiste. It doesn't have like a big, weird thing behind it. He's just a creepy guy who happens to come out of nowhere on Halloween and starts terrorizing the neighborhood, and has apparently like a huge aversion to young women's breasts. Like, you know, like, oh no, there are boobies. I've got to like, just very, very scared of the boobies. And, you know, maybe that's it. Maybe it's like a breastfeeding thing. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know. You know, again, it's better if we don't like psychoanalyze it, but gotta wonder, just throwing that out there.
Oh my God. I'm just thinking about the breastfeeding thing now. Michael, is that it?
Just don't go flashing him, because it might set him off.
Oh my God.
I changed here, so I mean.
You know what? Maybe it's only if you are getting undressed to get it on with some guy. I think that's got to be. There has to be like a guy there too, and then he's like, "Oh no, boobies and possible peen. I can't have this. Too much."
That happens, I will turn your head away. Okay, Michael. If everybody doesn't know, I have a giant life-size Michael in my room. That's why we're talking. I mean, I have a bunch of Michael Myers stuff, but I have like a life-size. It's Halloween 2 Michael Myers. Yeah. So Kim.
It feels weird to talk about him in front of him. Like, you know?
Like, sorry to talk about you in third person, Michael, but like, you understand, right?
I really like him. I think he's a great villain. He's got all the things. He's mysterious as hell. He's got the superhuman strength, and he's adaptable as fuck. Like Carla said, look how quickly he learned to drive that car. Like, it took me like a year and I'm still unsure, but he's signaling. He's like doing everything right. He's yielding. Like, he's fantastic. And I think the not speaking definitely helps. I know he's not the only villain to ever do that, but like the silence mixed with the very heavy breathing is chilling. Like, he's automatically creepy because he's everywhere and nowhere. Like, so many people are like, hey, is there a guy over there? And then he's just gone. Like, by the time you're like, hey, I think I'm in danger. No, you're not, because he's gone. You know? Like, I just think he's so fantastic. And his kills are very intimate. Like, I think of the one where he strangles Annie in the fogged up car. Like, it's so scary. And like also kind of sexy in a weird way, because it's like, what else do teenagers do in a fogged up car? That he's in the back seat, but he's strangling her. He's ending her life. Like, it's weird and interesting.
Yeah, like choke me a little.
Yeah. Listen, what you're
Michael.
into is what you're into.
This became a very different conversation.
Breastfeeding, then it's kind of sexy in the car when he's killing
Listen,
Annie.
you gotta bring out all the possibilities, okay?
That was amazing. I hope you can find your paper someday, Kim, because I really want to read your paper about
If I
Michael.
find, I will scan it, because it definitely is a typed up and then printed out job. So like, I will scan it to you. I have no clue where I put it, but I think I wrote some of that in the paper.
Whoa.
Exploring the sexuality of Michael Myers. No, I love that. That's why I want to read the paper. Yeah. So Tiff.
So yes, thank you for sharing your thoughts, Carla and Kim, because I'm in total agreement. He is, because of the lack of motivation of, we don't know why he does the things that he does. Why he just decided all of a sudden, I'm 5 or 6 years old, wearing a little clown costume, which no clowns, thank you. Children clowns, absolutely
No,
not.
thank you.
No.
Mm-mm.
Child clown knife, no.
Terrible combination. Nightmare fuel for days.
Yes, just absolutely not. So he just decides to pick up a knife and all of a sudden just, stab his sister. When he goes after Judith originally at the very beginning, we don't understand, why is he outside? He's outside. That's the whole start of this film. We're seeing it from a brilliant direction from John Carpenter with that, like this camera, like in the window to the side, go scurry back, that sort of thing. So we're seeing it from a child's eye view. Why is this child outside? Okay, number one. So that makes me think, okay, is this some type of detached authoritarian figure issue that he's having? I'm going cinema therapy here, Carla.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, fully.
We're fully going to therapy, because if his sister was meant to be watching him that night, the parents were out to eat, is this some latent, just horrific, terrifying feelings of inadequacy that Michael has because his sister wasn't actually doing what she was supposed to be doing that night? She's too busy getting it on with little Billy on the couch, and they go and have 4.2 minutes of inadequate sex.
It's a treatise on neglect. You know what? That's absolutely it. That's absolutely it.
Is this where it all stems from? And then when he actually goes, and I know he doesn't know that Annie is neglecting Lindsay, but she is. And when he sees that, does it trigger the latent hostility that he had toward his sister Judith?
It's the neglect and the boobs.
The neglect and the boobs.
The neglect and the boobs. Oh my God. It's the combination.
We're talking about a psychopathic lunatic who is adaptable. That's the biggest thing I think that is scary. We talk about sociopaths, a lot, and how they can kind of, I guess, fit in to society and sort of kind of, go with the flow a little bit before they have to get their fix. And when we think of psychopaths, though, we don't think that they can be adaptable and that they can kind of just mirror other people's behavior. Well, this dude is like, okay, I'm going to throw on a mask and I'm going to throw on a mechanic's outfit because I had to kill this dude to get, because I'm out here in my hospital gown with my butt hanging all out. So let me cover up, right? And I can get away with it because it is Halloween. So nobody's going to really think twice about me having this mask on, right? This is all adaptation. So how does this guy who has been effectively a mute for the last 15 years, who's done nothing according to Dr. Loomis, but not just stare at the wall, stare past the wall, which is horrifying if you think about it. If somebody's just looking into the middle distance and looking at nothing, that's horrifying. Okay. To me, at least. I don't like when people just stare into the nothing. That is.
What are you seeing?
What are you seeing? It's like a cat.
Yeah.
Like, what are you looking at? So the fact that he is so adaptable, that he can continually evolve and gain access to these places without making people are uncomfortable, but he's still gaining entry into these spaces. So he knows enough to do just enough to get what he needs, what he thinks he needs to be doing. And that's the key here. Like, how does he have this internal knowledge on how to do this? How has he absorbed this? That's what keeps me up at night. Okay. But as a villain, yes, I think it's like you said, Erin, it's not bloody. Like your daughter she was like, well, it's not very bloody. She's like, it's not very violent. And then of course, like, I wish I had been filming because I would have uploaded the video to the Discord so you all could see. Because in the scene with Annie in the car, and she's going to get Paul.
Yeah.
They're gonna get together. And she's driving in her car. And then Michael, like that, dear daughter, she rears back. And then it's just a slow descent all the way to the back of the couch. It was hilarious.
That's funny.
And then she proceeds to roll off the couch. Absolutely hilarious. But yeah, so it's not particularly violent, but I think that makes it scary too.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you can just, when he stabs Bob in the gut, which is the physics really physicsing in that instance. John,
No, but
but that's okay because it was an effective shot. But yeah, so I think adaptability is the key with Michael, and that's what scares me about him. That's why I think he's probably is still like one of the scariest villains that I've ever seen on screen. Definitely, like, yeah, to this day.
yeah, I mean, this is my favorite villain. So Michael Myers stuff. So of course I love this character, and what everyone's saying is reiterating for me why the Rob Zombie films suck so bad, because Rob Zombie decided to give a reason to why Michael Myers does what he does. And, of course it was neglect, and his mom was a stripper and blah, blah, blah.
So it is neglect and boobs.
It is. Yeah, it was neglect and boobs. And he was picked on and teased and blah, blah, blah. And he was very poor, and that's why he did. And it's so annoying. Anyway, that's why, and John Carpenter was very, very adamant about the fact that you should not know why Michael Myers does these things because it makes him more effective. And also he said the other reason you shouldn't is he didn't want any audience member to relate to Michael Myers. He didn't want anybody to feel for Michael Myers. And I think that's another downfall of the Rob Zombie movies is Rob Zombie is almost trying to make you feel bad for Michael in the beginning. And that would have been fine if it was not Michael Myers. So, anyway, I'm not going to go off on that. But I think he works so well as a villain because you don't know why he does this. And the fact that he doesn't speak and doesn't say anything makes him more effective. The fact that, it's always interesting to me that with Michael, for the most part, he doesn't kill unless he has a mask on. So it's like he puts the clown mask on when he kills his sister Judith. And then, out in the world when Laurie takes his mask off is pulling it off, and he has to pull it back on before he starts to continue, which gives Dr. Loomis enough time to shoot him. And it's always fascinating to me with Michael, like in the Halloween 2018, and when Michael first puts his mask back on, it's like this moment of like the villain's journey of putting on like his thing that he has to, his comfort thing is his mask. And it's always great that, even though William Shatner sued them, but that it was, that mask that they decided to use. because it is void. The mask is also void of feeling and emotion, and there's nothing there, and you don't know what this guy is thinking. And he's also doesn't always kill. He doesn't like instantly kill someone. So you also don't know really what the method is. There's no real method. I know that stuff gets explained in the sequels, but in this one, there is no method behind it. There's no, reasoning. I mean, he's at that school when Tommy's leaving and he stops the one kid, I believe it was Lonnie, and Lonnie gets scared and sees him. And then like he follows Tommy for a bit and then he just leaves. And it's like, he's following, like he's in the backyard of Laurie and he doesn't kill her then. And it's like that's part of the ritual for him is like the stalking part. And also just deciding not to kill at certain points. And also he is a bit of a trickster and a bit of like a comedian in a way. And I think that's one thing that people miss about Michael Myers is, the fact that, I always love when he cocks his head to the side after he kills someone. It's one of my favorite things about him because it's so like creepy and weird. And when he kills Bob, who gave Linda probably the worst sex of her life, even though she acted like it was great.
I was like, fantastic. I'm like,
no, that was like 3.4 seconds. And
I know.
Said, that was great. No wonder she wanted more. That was barely anything.
Yeah.
In what world? I mean, that's why you needed a beer so badly afterwards. I mean,
I just need to numb away this memory.
Yeah. And he's gross anyway, because he was talking about ripping Lindsay's clothes off. It's like,
that was so weird. And she didn't even react. I'm like, no, he has to go home now. Like, you can't just say stuff like that. That's so creepy.
You're like, no, sorry. But I love that when he's admiring his kill. And then I love when he goes in for Linda and he has like the sheet over him and with the glasses like he's a ghost.
That's the comedy. He's like, I have a new Halloween costume now.
Like, look at me. I'm Bob. I'm dead. And I have glasses on.
like, fork.
Yeah. But it's also creepy for her because I love that whole interaction because she's just like, oh, you see anything you like? And he's not saying anything. And she's just like, okay. And then you see she gets really uncomfortable. PJ Souls does that really well. And she gets really uncomfortable and is kind of like, well, fine then, if you're not even going to talk to me. And she feels also, I think, probably like, okay, we just had the most mediocre, awful sex I've ever had. And now you're treating me like shit. And so I love that interaction so much. And I think the way he kills her is interesting too. And then the way he later sets up Annie with Judith's headstone. And it's very methodical and very like, it's like very much like serial killers do that kind of stuff. So, and but he's even beyond that. He's just like this evil thing who you don't know why he kills. There's no method, which works better. The fact that he started so young. And it still always kills me, though, that his parents come home and he's just standing there with the knife and they're just like standing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Michael, what?
Like, this is not good.
Yeah.
Michael, you're getting blood all over our lawn.
They're standing there looking at him like, oh, this is such an inconvenience.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Like,
Okay.
that's how I look at my kid when, like, he comes home and he just drops his book bag.
Yes.
And I'm like, why are we doing this again? Just pick it up. It has there's a hook for it.
Yeah. Not your kid who is 5 standing outside late at night in a clown costume with a bloody knife.
Yeah, and they don't do anything. They're just like, Michael?
And everybody's just mute. Like,
oh my God, this will not do.
And no one runs inside to check on the sister. Like, they're all just outside.
Just vibe.
I know.
Just vibe.
But
nobody's concerned. Just vibe.
But it's also, I mean, you've got a little kid, so you're not, I'm sure your first thought isn't, oh, my son just killed my daughter. So it's like, unless they'd already been having those issues, but you don't know, which is good that you don't know. Mm-hmm. And I always will appreciate that. And, of course, there is lots of stuff that happens later, but I appreciate that you never, ever hear Michael speak. And I think that is essential for this character. You don't even hear him speak as a kid. And I think that makes him creepier when he doesn't say anything. It's a lot creepier. And then the heavy breathing, of course, always the heavy breathing. It works really well too. And I'll have to send, if everybody here hasn't seen it, but I'll link it in the show notes too when I find it. There's a great YouTube skit of Michael Myers learning to drive. And
I would love to
it's
see
really
that.
hilarious. So I'll have to find it and I'll send it to everybody.
And it's just him in his hospital room playing pole position on the Atari.
It's not that. He's actually getting driving lessons.
Okay.
Is it from Dr. Loomis?
No. Dr. Loomis doing that.
Now, Michael, always put it in drive first. Check your mirrors.
And you must look both ways. For that is what a proper civilized person does.
Do not look into the void, Michael. You're staring past the wall, Mike.
Well, on that note, since we've brought up Dr. Loomis, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're, of course, going to talk about Dr. Loomis because you can't talk about Halloween without talking about the person who later the song Obsession would fit him perfectly. And that's Dr. Loomis. So we'll be right back. Okay, so Carla, what are your thoughts on Dr. Loomis?
He is that worst piece of trash in the entire movie. Like,
Whoa.
Michael may be a murderer, but Loomis is a monster. Loomis is absolute crap. He is a disgrace to the profession of psychology, psychiatry, whatever. Because, let me tell you why, okay? He has been treating this person, he has been treating Michael as an object his entire life. And yes, okay, I get it. Okay, he killed somebody when he was 5. But how can you treat somebody if you don't see them as something worth treating? If you're talking about a person as an it, how do you ever expect them to, come around and have any kind of empathy for the sister that he killed, to have any feelings for anybody? And I know I'm reading way too much into this, whatever, but it really, really bothers me. And it's always bothered me because there are truly mental health, quote unquote, professionals out there who treat people like that and who discount somebody, even though they're supposed to be, helping them grow and better themselves or at least, come to some kind of acceptance to where we can understand what happened. But no, it's just like, well, he's just going to sit there and stare at a wall. He's evil. Okay. But you're the professional. Like, your entire job is supposed to be to treat people and to get to the bottom of things, maybe from a mental health perspective. And it really, really bothers me that his whole tag was like, oh, this isn't even a human. This is just an it. It really ticks me off. He's positioned as somebody who he's like seeing the real Michael, and he sees that this is not somebody you can catch. You have to eliminate. Again, it's a horror movie. This is a monster that we're dealing with as we know it, because we know that he has like weird supernatural things or whatever. But just in the world of the movie, if he's treating somebody who at 5 did something so horrific, but never treats him as an actual patient, you're crap. You're trash. You don't deserve to have access to a facility where people are basically locked up probably forever, because if all of the professionals are like you, they don't stand a chance. So, and no, I cannot separate that aspect from the fact that this is just a movie for kicks. It's just a fun horror movie. I get it, but he bothers me so much. And it just the real world implications and the parallels to some people who are really out there malpracticing in the mental health field gets me so heated, like just gets me so angry. Because not to get all Brita from Community where it's like, I can understand racism, but I draw the line at animal cruelty. But not to say, like, I can understand Michael being a murderer, but I draw the line at like mental health malpractice. But it just really bothers me.
Interesting. He did try for 8 years, but anyway. So Kim, your thoughts on Dr. Loomis?
I have similar mixed feelings. So part of it is he was the only voice of reason. Like from the start, he's like, hey, this kid's going to be a problem and we should do something. He's talking to the doctors about it and they're like, maybe, I don't know. And then like once Michael gets out, he's talking to like the sheriff and everybody's like, I don't know. He's giving all these warnings and they're like, shut up, old man. Like, what are you talking about? But he's a doctor. He has a PhD and he's just like, evil. Michael's evil. Give him a diagnosis. Fix him. Maybe some group therapy might help. Maybe some medication. Do you have other patients? Did you go to school for this? Like, what are you doing? You're just yelling at everybody about how he's evil, but like not properly saying, hey, this is what happened. This is what's gonna happen. And maybe we need to do something. He's just like, he needs to be put down. Like, I just think he's kind of nuts, but he also towards the end is the only one who could do anything and no one's helping him.
So Tiff.
I do. You know what? I think because Carla has been she put me onto cinema therapy, which is on YouTube. It's a channel on YouTube. And so, yeah, I see it because I'm thinking about how Jonathan, who is a licensed therapist, how he would view Michael, and he's going to be probably dissociative identity disorder, as what look at me, armchair diagnosing. So probably DID, and then also antisocial behavioral disorder as well, as along with some probably, a sprinkle of psychopathy and maybe a little mania sprinkled on top, just for kicks. But Dr. Loomis, so I think we know that Michael's been locked up for 15 years. He had 8 years where I think or 7 or 8 years where he really where he tried to work with him, right? He was really, really putting in the work, doing the work. Okay, Dr. Loomis, I need you to break it down for me like I'm 2. What exactly were you doing with him while you were doing the work? Like, were you trying out some medications? Because we know that mental health it runs the gamut. It's across the spectrum. So sometimes those synapses are not firing like they should. And sometimes you need a little course correction with a little pill or two, perhaps. So have you tried anything like that? So give us the background on that. Give us the deets on that, doc. Let's not talk about your patients like they are an inanimate object. Let's not go there. That's not cool. I do get the fact of the frustration about him because I do think he's being gaslit, like at every turn. The guy who runs the mental health thing, he is completely not helpful. I mean, not helpful at all. Dude, well, that guy is probably long gone. Sir, you don't know where he is. You just had your patients wandering out in the middle of the night in the rain. I mean, come on now. You don't know what's happening. You shut your trap. Shut your filthy mouth. And then the nurse, she was also not very helpful. I can't believe she survived either, but she was very not helpful. Like, don't care for your perspective, madam. So you just go continue to get mud on your white pants and your crisp white outfit. But yeah, Dr. Loomis, I have very mixed feelings about him because I can see there's a reason why that profession, I think, gets burned out because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be effective as, like a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a licensed therapist. It takes a lot to do that and to help people and to know that you're helping people. And what if somebody does not ever get, air quotes, better? And this is an extreme example of that, right? Of somebody who probably will never get better. But does that mean you give up, you throw in the towel, you just stop? I don't think so. I think you probably bring in a second opinion, Dr. Loomis.
At the least.
At the minimum, you bring in somebody to, just kind of take the load off for a bit. Maybe you take a sabbatical. Maybe that would help. Maybe a sabbatical would help, Dr. Loomis. I'm just saying. It's funny because I guess Donald Pleasance was obviously like the big name in this movie at the time. And did he really? He didn't have a whole lot to do except stand by the house. Yeah, oh boy.
And I just need to throw in there. Okay, so my degree is in psychology. Like, that's what I studied for my colleges. And the reason I didn't pursue it as far as clinical is because I knew that I didn't have it in me to do what you needed to do to actually help somebody. I would do research psychology as a profession if I could. I was so many times by my professors guided towards clinical, and I was like, I know that that's not something that I can't actually help people. That is not, I can't. So like, it just, there's a very personal thing for me in there with that.
That's valid. That's valid. And maybe Dr. Loomis needed to recognize, okay, I'm not as effective as I once was. I'm not as young as I once was. Maybe I've lost the passion for it. Maybe I've lost my calling for it. So I need to bring somebody else in to consult. Collaboration. It's all good.
There you go.
I'm going to take a little different approach here on Dr. Loomis. And I get what everybody's saying, but Michael is not like, I think it's because I'm approaching it from the fact that Michael is not like a normal human being that you're approaching with this. And he tried for 8 years. He really wanted to reach him and tried really hard to reach him. And then no one would listen to him when he was saying, you can't let this person out. He's going to kill people. He's going to do this. He knows what Michael is capable of. And he's the only one that really knows until Michael gets out. And I do think he does along the line, especially once you get to 5, he does become almost a villain. So he does almost, it's kind of like, the whole saying, you either live long enough to see yourself become the hero or become the villain. And I think for him, he does become a villain of sorts, especially in 5. He pisses me off so much in 5. And so there is a trajectory there. I just think, I feel bad for him in a lot of respects in this one, only because he is the only one who's trying to stop Michael and trying to save this town, and no one's listening to him. And then also the line that always will piss me off is when Sheriff Brackett is like, well, if you're right, then damn you for letting him go. I'm like, he didn't let him go. That was not him. And he gets blamed for that constantly. And he was the only one that was like, there's no way we can let this guy go. We can't let him out of here. And so I get what everybody's saying with the whole mental illness and mental health care, especially in the 70s. I get it. It's just, I think he did try. And I think he got to the point where he's like, this is a human being that's not really human. And there's no way to reach him. And we just can't. And if you don't know, part of the inspiration behind this character was John Carpenter once, for some school thing, went to a mental hospital, and he saw a little kid, and he said that kid had like the devil's eyes. That kid was just void of anything and scared him more than anything he'd ever seen. So I get what you're saying. I won't go into it too much because of time. We've got to wrap this up. But I see what you're saying. I just see it a little bit of like, I do think there's an obsession part to it. I do think this has become his sole focus, is trying to save the world from Michael, that he kind of loses the plot and loses sense of everything. And I do think he does some stupid things later on. And it's interesting. And I encourage, if you haven't watched it, I know Kim has, but if you haven't watched it, I encourage watching Halloween 2018, because there's another psychiatrist in there, and it's a totally different thing, and it's very interesting. So I would just be curious to see, that your views on that, everybody who hasn't seen that. But for time, we're going to talk about just why it's important this is not as violent, and you can put in a couple of things about, we've already talked about the lasting impact a little bit in the beginning, so we'll just kind of combine those two. So just any other last thoughts, I'll just say that.
When it comes to what your family eats and drinks, you know your choices matter. You're the expert because you know what fits your life. And getting it right starts with good information. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients at goodtoknowfacts.org. No spin, no judgments, just the facts straight from the experts for more than 140 beverage ingredients. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
Okay, so we're just quickly going to say, are there any other last thoughts you want to add in about Halloween, Carla?
I think that, first of all, I love that this is a great entry-level movie for horror. If you are, scared of the genre or, unfamiliar with it and just want to try it, it's a great first step into horror. It's not too gory. It's not too fantastical. It doesn't, it's a fantastic movie because it is very straightforward. It does what it does and that's it. And I think that, again, this is a blueprint. So much of 80s horror is shaped by this, by the score, by the final girl, by the kills. You're building a tension by not having it just be a constant gore fest. If it's everybody is dying, then there's no tension because you know that everybody is dying. When you're kind of like spacing it as like maybe you, maybe not you, I think it's more interesting. I think that it's a classic for a reason.
Yes. And Kim?
I agree with Carla. Like, this is really the blueprint. I'm currently wearing a Scream sweatshirt. And I mean, if Halloween didn't exist, that wouldn't exist. Like, it's where the rules came from. It's bringing the monster to the suburbs. Like, that's where that came from. A lot of the visual cues from Halloween, like students sitting at a desk looking out a window and seeing something creepy. Like, how many times has that been done? Like, there's so many things that are just so eerie from this film that have transferred over to other films and made this film stand out. I mean, a lot of the fear, I mean, we talked about it not being so violent, but a lot of the fear is in like the dread, right? Like the point of view of Michael's first kill, like it makes it so scary. The anticipation of it all. Like, we don't see Michael a lot and then we see him all the time. So we don't see him, the characters don't see him, but the audience sees him. Like, there are scenes where like he's in Annie's house with Lindsay all over the place. He's just like back and forth in the background. And it's like the audience knows what's going to happen, but the character doesn't. And there's something so creepy in that. It brings you in such a wonderful way. And like we talked about the music, like the music is doing wonders at keeping the tension really high. Like, there's just so many little elements that make this film so perfect. And those elements have become the blueprint of like branched out into other things. And it's done so much for horror. So I'm really glad that we're talking about it. I'm really glad that it exists.
Yeah, Tiff?
Yeah, for sure. Just in the way that it outlined how you didn't have to go big or go home. Like, John Carpenter shows that it's the little things with this, the flash of the knife, the sound of the knife, as opposed to what it's actually doing. You know, you hear it. You don't necessarily see it all the time. The positioning of the bodies, you know, so you don't actually see necessarily them being killed outright, but then you see them dead, which to me is kind of creepy too, because your mind can do more than what the screen can tell you, right? You can imagine all the ways that he tortured Annie, but what we saw was him strangle her in the car, well, you know, and hem her up, and then there was a flash of the knife, but then did you like cut her from sternum to tail, and you know, we just see him carrying her back into the house. So it's all of those things, that existential dread that Carpenter builds up in us, just all is outlined beautifully on the screen. And it walked so Scream could run. Yeah. And all the rest of it. It doesn't have to be that violent. It doesn't have to be that bloody. It shows just how effective you can be with the little touches of sound and flash and sensory, almost like the noise sucked out where you just hear Michael breathing, which is, as you said, Erin, incredibly creepy when your antagonist your villain does not speak and all he does is breathe. Like, yeah. Why? Why? But it is it's the ultimate Halloween. It is. It's the ultimate movie for Halloween. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Dear daughter watched it. She's 14. So if you're worried about that, I will say, obviously, you know, they're boobs. And she was like, okay, that's a boob. I'm like, okay, well, I forgot that part. My bad. So, yeah. So just be aware of that, people. If you do have, as Michael does, an aversion to breasts, just realize that they do pop up here and there with Halloween.
Yeah, just ditto everything that's been said. And if you ever get the chance, last year I got to see this movie on the big screen for the first time ever. I'm so bummed Alamo wasn't showing it again this year, but please, if you get a chance ever to see it on the big screen, it's so much fun to see it that way. And I think John Carpenter has finally I think he made peace with what this franchise and what the character of Michael Myers became. And I think John Carpenter is such a gift to horror, and really the big thing that's been mentioned that he gets, I think, better than a lot of horror filmmakers, because sound is so essential in this genre, but he really gets why it's essential. And someday we'll talk about one of his underrated, well, two, he has two, In the Mouth of Madness, but also the movie Christine, which is based on a Stephen King novel. And I think it's one of the most underrated adaptations of a Stephen King novel. And he uses sound so effectively in that as well. And so he knows how important it is to have those little beats and those little moments and those little like stings, basically, of the noise and where it is the most effective. And he knows light, how to use light. And I mean, the scene when Laurie finds the bodies of Annie and Linda and Paul, and she's there and there's the dark closet, and then you slowly see Michael's face, is one of the most beautiful shots in horror, period, because it's terrifying and she hasn't seen him yet. And it's just a great slow reveal, so it's really great. It's a fantastic classic film, and go rent it at the library if you haven't seen it. It's streaming other places. And yeah. And then someday I will put together that PowerPoint and I will give my full thoughts about my favorite timeline. I will tell my panelists off the air, what my favorite timeline is. But yes, and let us know what you think as well. You could even come at me and say, Rob Zombie was amazing. That's fine.
Well, she'll never speak to you again. She'll never talk to you again. She'll block. Okay, people, don't do it. Don't do it.
There are some people that find those to be their favorites. So, okay.
Can I just share? If people are looking to watch it, and they don't want to pay, because I was looking for it last night and everything was costing, but Plex, the app Plex, has it free. I will say the sound is very, very off in that app. Like the music and the background are very loud, but the vocals are very low.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Plex has that problem. Yeah.
Just be aware.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you, Carla, Kim, and Tiff, for joining me for this one. And we do have time to quickly, if people played 6 Degrees of Fin, we will quickly go around and share those if people played.
So I went with PJ Souls. So
Awesome.
PJ Souls was in Out There with Jennifer Connelly, who was in Winter's Tale with Finn Whitrock. Ta-da!
You know who else was in Winter's Tale? My future hubby, Colin.
Oh, well, there you go. 2 for 1. Check.
So, Kim?
I didn't play. I always get to Deep Water, remember how terrible that movie is, and then just stop looking at movies.
That makes sense. It's now a propaganda movie.
Yes.
So Tiff.
So I went Halloween themed. So Donald Pleasance was in Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, with Michael Flynn, who was in Halloween Town High with.
Yay!
Wow.
I used Jamie Lee Curtis, the Scream Queen, who was in Christmas with the Cranks with Eric Purr Sullivan, who was in 12 with Finn Whitrock. So thank you all so much. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close out, and my lovely panelists can tell you where they can be found and where their podcasts can be found. So Carla, tell everybody about OK Real Quick.
I will quickly tell you about OK Real Quick, which you can find wherever you found this podcast. You can look for our social media. We may be there, we may not. We're definitely not on Instagram, I can tell you that much. We are definitely on Blue Sky, though. I barely use it, but, give me a reason to use it so that I can. And you can also find me on my website. That's carlatemis.com, CarlaTemis.com.
Awesome. Thank you. And Kim from Big Reputations Pod. Tell everybody about that one.
So Big Reputations podcast is about women that we judge too harshly. So you can find that everywhere. We're actually wrapping up our series of podcasting, but we'll still be around for at least the next 2 years. You can listen to it anywhere. If you want to send us a message, you can do that on Instagram at Big Reputations Pod. If you want to reach out to me, my Instagram name is Kim Plaints, like complaints, but Kim _NYC.
Awesome. Thank you. And Tiff, where can everybody find you?
So I'm out there at Who is Tiff is Me. I'm on Blue Sky, and I am on Instagram, but don't DM me and ask me to follow you or allow me to let you follow me, because I won't. So come and find me on Discord with the rest of the people, because that's where we do our best work, I feel, because we talk about our beautiful pets and we look at Fergie and see what horror films she's recommending for us these days, because I trust Fergie. And, even though she hates Indy the dog, but that's for another day. But there's all sorts of good stuff. There's books, there's music, and all kinds of goodness that's going on. So come and join us.
Yes, please do. Thank you. Yes, if you want to follow that horror-loving dog on TikTok, you can follow Fergie at Schroeder and Fergs. That's SCHROEDERANDFERGS. It's long, but it's worth it. I am going to buy Good Boy and show it to Fergie, whether she likes it or not.
Don't you torture her.
To find all our past episodes, including the episode covering the Halloween series, where you can hear me also talk about the moment in Halloween Kills that actually made me cry. It's true. A true story. You can go to our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. You can also find links to our social media, including our Discord server, which has been mentioned before. And you can also find a link to our Patreon page on the Support Us tab there at it'safandomthingpod.com. And there, for as little as $3 a month, you get ad-free content. You get episodes a day early. You get bonus content. And occasionally, you win cool prizes. So once again, click the Support Us tab at it'safandomthingpod.com or click the link in the show notes. And next week, well, for our pop culture and fandom news episode, Carla, Kim, and Tiff will be back. We've already recorded that one. And then on Friday, we are kicking off my birthday month with a look at the Ryan Gosling, who has also been in a couple of movies with Finn, and those will be excluded from how you can connect Finn to Ryan Gosling. So no Big Short and no La La Land.
I have to get ready. I have to start thinking of other things about Mr. Ryan V. Gosling. Okay. I'm doing the work. I'm putting in the work right now.
Okay.
I watched a movie that I will, I'll save it for next week.
But I'm excited to talk about Ryan Gosling, and I'm excited for the rest of my birthday month, which I'll reveal the rest of that schedule next Friday. So until next time, remember, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter, stop Asian hate, and free Palestine.
From Adams Morgan to Anacostia Park, we all want safer neighborhoods. But what does real safety mean? Real safety means preventing crime before it happens. By having police work with communities to disrupt cycles of violence, by supporting families with stable housing, and providing more mental health and drug treatment. We know that adding more police and locking up more people doesn't make us safer. Real safety means investing in the things that help prevent crime. Learn more at realsafetydc.